My name is Claire. I met Fiona in our sophomore year of college. She had wild red curls, a laugh that could slice through the most awkward silence, and a sense of style that made you think she walked out of an indie film. We met in a creative writing seminar, of all places, and bonded over how pretentious everyone else sounded. She made me feel seen in a way no one else ever had. Over time, we became the kind of inseparable that makes other people roll their eyes. I was the introverted one, cautious with my emotions, while Fiona barreled through life with the emotional volume turned all the way up. She took me on late-night drives, made me sing badly at karaoke, and pulled me out of my head when I needed it most. In return, I was her rock, the one she could always call when the world felt too loud. After college, we both ended up in Portland. I took a job as an editorial assistant at a small publishing house, and Fiona started working as a stylist. We shared a 2-bedroom apartment downtown and fell into an easy rhythm of shared dinners, deep talks, and nights spent dreaming about lives we hadn't built yet. Then she met Owen. He was everything she usually avoided: clean-cut, organized, methodical. He worked in finance and had this habit of folding his napkin after every bite at dinner. I didn't get it. Fiona loved chaos, and Owen was spreadsheets. But she fell for him hard and fast. Within 6 months, they were engaged. I stood beside her in a vintage green dress at her wedding, pretending not to feel like something precious was slipping through my fingers. We stayed close, even after she moved into Owen's sleek townhouse in the suburbs. We had Sunday coffee rituals, voice notes that lasted too long, and spontaneous brunches when she'd drive into the city just to see me. I watched her morph, slowly, from the wild Fiona I knew into someone quieter, more polished. Not unhappy, just edited. Then, about a year ago, she introduced me to a guy named Grant. He was in his 30s, recently divorced, and worked at her company's PR firm. We all met for drinks. He was charming, a little bit flirty, and clearly taken with Fiona. I saw it right away. But she brushed it off. "Oh, please, he's like that with everyone," she said. I let it go. Until I didn't. I never meant to find out. I was leaving her house one afternoon after helping her set up for her baby shower. She was just entering her second trimester, and the house was filled with soft pastels, framed sonograms, and Owen's annoying playlists. She had stepped out to run a quick errand, and I realized I had left my keys on the kitchen counter. When I came back in, I heard voices upstairs. I paused, thinking she might be back already, but what I heard next stopped me cold. It was Fiona. And Grant. I couldn't make out everything, but I heard his laugh, the unmistakable softness in his voice as he said,
"I miss this."
Then a long pause. And then her voice, low and steady. "We have to be careful. He suspects something." I backed out slowly, like the air had turned toxic. I didn't know what I was doing or where I was going. I walked 4 blocks before I sat on a bench outside a bookstore and tried to catch my breath. Fiona. Married. Pregnant. Having an affair? I waited 2 days before I said anything. I kept rehearsing it in my head, trying to soften the blow. I finally called her and asked if we could talk. She said yes. We met at our usual cafe. I told her what I heard. I expected denial, anger, maybe even tears. But what I got was silence. Long, hollow silence. Then she looked up at me, eyes sharp. "You don't know what you heard." "Fiona, I'm not stupid." She stared at her coffee, then back at me. "It's not what you think." "Then help me understand." She didn't. She got up, threw some money on the table, and walked out. Days passed. Then weeks. She didn't return my calls. The baby shower went on without me. I sent a gift, but no note. I didn't know what to say. Eventually, I got a message. Just one. "Please don't talk to Owen. This isn't your place." I never replied. The silence between us hardened. What had once been an easy, joyful friendship became a landscape of landmines. I kept wondering if I should tell Owen. If I should confront Grant. If I should show up at her door and scream at her for wrecking not just her life, but mine. Instead, I turned to Lena, my friend from work. She's older, wise in a way only people who've been through real heartbreak can be. I told her everything. She listened. And then she said something I didn't expect. You need to decide what kind of friend you are. Not the kind you wish you could be, or the kind you used to be. But the kind you are now. I sat with that for a long time. Was I the kind of friend who exposed secrets? Who tried to force someone to live a different truth? Who made decisions for them under the guise of protecting them? Or was I the kind of friend who let go? It's been nearly a year. Fiona had the baby, a girl named Ivy. I saw the announcement on Instagram. She looked radiant. Owen looked proud. And Grant? He wasn't in the photo, but part of me wondered if he took it. I never told Owen. I never reached out again. Sometimes I walk by the cafe where we had that last conversation. I imagine her there, in her oversized sweater, stirring honey into her tea, rolling her eyes at something I said. I miss her. But I don't miss who I became in the wake of her secrets. Loving someone doesn't mean keeping their secrets for them. But sometimes it means recognizing that you're no longer part of their story. Sometimes, being a good friend means walking away. And sometimes, walking away is the most loving thing you can do. There are things we carry that no one can see. Small, sharp things, unspoken words, unfinished apologies, the silence left in place of goodbye. For a long time, I carried Fiona. Not in the obvious way. Not in phone calls or visits or pictures pinned to my fridge. I carried her in the quiet. In the coffee shop we used to haunt, in the half-finished stories I stopped writing after she left. In the way my heart still jumped when I heard a laugh like hers in a crowd. Grief has a funny way of disguising itself. It looks like strength. Like distance. Like pretending you don't care, even when every version of the life you imagined included her. That's what I told myself the morning I woke up to her name flashing on my phone. It had been 2 weeks since our accidental reunion at the market, 1 week since we shared that difficult, fragile conversation in the bakery. I hadn't expected more. I had given her a thread. Whether she pulled on it was up to her. I opened her message. It was simple. Are you free today? I think I'm ready to tell you the whole story. And just like that, the breath I didn't know I'd been holding all this time came rushing back into my lungs. We met at her place. Not the townhouse she once shared with Owen. That was gone now, sold in the chaos of divorce and silence. She was living in a modest apartment above a flower shop, the kind of place that smelled like eucalyptus and loss. Ivy was at daycare. Fiona met me at the door in a worn sweatshirt, her curls pulled into a messy bun. Her face was bare. Tired. Real. You still take your tea with honey, right? She asked as she moved to the kitchen. I nodded. Yeah. And 2 drops of milk. She smiled faintly. Some things don't change. The place was quiet. No music, no TV. Just the low hum of the refrigerator and the weight of everything unspoken. I didn't ask you to come here to fix anything, Fiona began, handing me a chipped mug. But I need you to know the truth. Because I can't carry it alone anymore. I wrapped my hands around the warmth of the cup. Then tell me. She sat across from me, fingers trembling slightly as they traced the rim of her own mug. It wasn't just the affair, she said softly. It wasn't just about Owen or Grant or any of it. That was just the last thread snapping. The truth is, I was unraveling. Long before any of that happened. She paused, eyes glassy but dry. I felt invisible. Like I had stepped into a life that looked perfect from the outside but didn't belong to me. Owen loved the version of me that knew which fork to use and said the right things at dinner. But the messy parts? The wild, reckless, impulsive Fiona, you were the only one who ever made space for her. I buried her. I let her starve. My chest ached. I wanted to reach for her, but I waited. Then she continued. Grant came along, and he saw that part of me. Or pretended to. I don't know anymore. All I know is that I was desperate to feel something again. Anything. She looked away, blinking fast. I told myself it was revenge. That Owen deserved it. That I was in control. But I wasn't. I was drowning, and I dragged you down with me. I finally spoke. You didn't drag me. I jumped. Because I loved you. Because I thought I could pull you out. Her lips trembled. I know. And I hated you for it. That hurt more than I expected. But she didn't stop. Because you held up a mirror. You showed me who I was becoming, and I wasn't ready to face her. So, I chose the lie. I chose silence. And I lost the one person who truly saw me. Tears fell freely now, slipping down her cheeks like rain down glass. She didn't wipe them away. I set my cup down. You didn't lose me, Fiona. You just stopped reaching. She looked up at me. Do you think there's a way back? Not to what we had. But something new? I wanted to say yes. I wanted to promise that we could rebuild what we lost. But life doesn't work like that. Scars don't vanish. Trust doesn't regrow overnight. So I said the only honest thing I could. I don't know. But I'm here. And I'm listening. That's a start. We talked for hours that day. About everything. About nothing. We laughed in places where it hurt. We cried when the truth was too sharp. She told me about the early days of her pregnancy, when she would lie awake wondering if she was a good person. When she almost drove to my apartment but kept driving past because shame held the steering wheel. I told her about the void she left. About the anger. About how I questioned my own judgment, wondered if I had made it all worse by getting involved. We didn't solve anything. But something shifted. That night, as I walked back to my car, the sky above her building a deep indigo, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Not forgiveness. Not closure. But space. Room for something to begin. Friendship isn't just built in the good times. It's tested in the worst ones. In the silences. In the messy, painful, ugly truths. Sometimes we carry each other. Sometimes we carry the weight alone. But the rarest friendships, the ones that matter, find their way back. Even after the fall. And maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something stronger than what we lost.